Isn't this a great facility? This is pretty cool. This is the only union hotel and convention center in Des Moines. And we've got machinists here, we've got AFSCME here. So make sure you thank your staff who's helping us out around here. We hope they're union members, but at least, we're in an organized facility. I think it's really nice what they've done with this place here in the past year, and we're going to continue to hold our events here, and it's something that I'm proud of. So as Ken alluded to a little bit earlier, and I was stealing a little bit part of my speech, but I want to talk about inspiration. It's okay, Ken. Inspiration. Who are you inspired by? Nobody?
Roosevelt.
FDR, there we go. That's a good one. I'm wearing my grandfather's FDR pin bag.
Francis Perkins.
Danny Holman. What's that?
Francis Perkins.
Francis Perkins.
My dad.
Dan. So we've all got, I'm somebody who inspired by Lincoln, Eugene Debs, Henry Wallace, Paul Wellstone, my mom. One person who's definitely not on my list is Terry Branstad. But one person who is, for some reason, on his list is Scott Walker. And listen to this quote very carefully. This is what he said after the Wisconsin recall. He said, "We follow each other in what we're doing, and I've been inspired." So there's actually a two-way relationship going on there as well. Governor Walker seems to be taking some inspiration from Terry Branstad as well. So what is this inspiration that Scott Walker has inspired Branstad to do? Is basically break the law also. In regards to healthcare, he's broken the law by violating the AFSCME contract, actually all the state employee contracts, by creating an open enrollment period as a scheme, I believe, to try and get people to take on more cost of their health care. But an open enrollment period that didn't even exist in the contract. And AFSCME has filed a PPC on that. And I was pleased to hear President Holman say in the last executive board meeting that only one AFSCME member has taken Branstad up on his ridiculous scheme. And this is really an election year thing. I think he's bringing it up so that he can declare war on public sector unions and build more support for that. Jason Stegman this morning, USW 164 president, he showed me a survey that he got. He admitted to me, I used to kind of come from a Republican family. It's okay. But he showed me the survey, and they're asking about public employee unions, and it's really a leading. It's a push survey. It's really trying to get their base fired up and ready to attack public employee unions and really make that an issue in this election. The governor also has decided that inspections on farm facilities for electrical inspections, and we don't have to do that. Heck, whatever the farm bureau wants is obviously more important than the safety of the public, or I guess these farmers' animals, let alone the workers who are out working on these lines. So he actually has no problems with just saying, heck with that law. This certain group doesn't need to abide by it. And one thing that isn't necessarily illegal, but it damn should be, is the way that he is treating the Department of Corrections and correctional officers. The way the Department of Corrections is treating correctional officers right now. There has been, over the past several weeks, a huge increase in the amount of attacks COs in these facilities. And it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before something extremely bad happens inside one of these prisons. That'll happen to an inmate, will happen to COs, it'll happen to the public, somebody escapes. Because corrections is understaffed, and that is something that is scary. It's, like I said, only a matter of time before somebody gets killed. And the last thing we need to do is read any more names at Workers' Memorial Day. But to be honest, I don't believe that it is just governors, people in governors' mansions that have taken inspiration from Scott Walker and what happened in Wisconsin. If you remember back in the 80s, we had Ronald Reagan who busted PATCO, Air Traffic Controllers Union, and that was a signal to everyone, I believe, that, and the rest of the country in the private sector took that up, that it was okay to attack unions, it was okay to attack working people. And if you think that the only people who took inspiration were people who are in governor's mansions, you're wrong. Believe me, there were plenty of CEOs and boardrooms across this country that took inspiration from that as well. So right now, the private sector's fight is the public sector's fight and vice versa. We've got to stick together on this stuff. Another person, well, speaking of inspiration, probably one of the least inspiring people I can think of, but they chose him as Mitt Romney. And I was looking at that picture yesterday with Tracy. You know that one where Romney's got like money in they got money in their teeth and they're holding money and stuff like that. It was the weirdest picture. And trying to figure out the context of it, I really have no idea where that would come from. But it looked like an 80s picture. It looked like people who took a lot of inspiration from, I don't know, Gordon Gekko, the movie Wall Street. I think they probably took the wrong lesson. If you remember, the good guys in that, movie were the union, people who did the right thing. The other day, somebody asked me actually, so is Mitt Romney as bad as George Bush? And I really had to think about that, because I believe that he's actually worse. Now, smarter is definitely, I'm not even sure where they both fall on that one. Bush set the bar pretty low. But Mitt Romney, I think, is scarier. Because that Mr. 1% stuff, that is true. I mean, we're talking about the 1% of the 1% here. We're talking about a guy who has absolutely no connection whatsoever to any of us. Has no idea what a working person goes through. I could probably spend a lot of time that no one would be interested in whatsoever, talking about lessons that I think that we can learn from the Occupy movement, things that are really not so good and things that actually work. But one thing that I will say that came out of Occupy is that there's actually a discussion on wealth disparity in this country. Sure, we all before have talked about that the top 1 or 2% hold all the wealth in this country, but it's this whole 99% or 1% thing. People understand that now that never even gave it a second thought. But Brother Buddy Howard put in a resolution from the County Labor Council that I actually really liked. It talks about that, we for too long have been talking about just the middle class, it feels like the middle class is kind of the politically correct thing to talk about, but really what we need to be talking about is the working class. Because really we have a hell of a lot more in common with somebody who's unemployed, or I have more in common with a homeless person on the street of Des Moines or any of your communities than I do Mitt Romney. And that's true for everyone here. We're in the 99%, and nobody in this room said, unless you're lucky, like maybe those folks in RWDSU and get the lottery, you're most likely not going to end up in the 1% anytime soon. So this is really a working class fight that we're talking about here. We're fighting for the entire working class, not just union members. We need to be a voice for all the working class. So I'm going to go on and talk a little bit more about the General Assembly again here, and talk about some non-law breaking inspiration that the governor and the Republicans in the Iowa House especially, but in both chambers have decided that they wanted to do.